Hello all YouTubers, I'm the Weather Dude. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning back into this Hurricane Isaias coverage for July 31st, 2020. Before I get on with today's video, however, it would really be nice if you guys did hit that subscribe button. I really cannot believe that I hit 800 subscribers already, so thank you guys so much. And we're on our way to 900 and eventually, even more exciting, the big 1,000 subscribers. So please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as ringing the bell notifications so you will not miss my next video. Also, please do watch the whole video because this does help my channel grow significantly. So please do watch the whole video and liking and sharing this video as well. Thank you. Now let's get on with today's video. Now, I know people are debating a lot on how the storm is said. Personally, I call it Isaias just to make it easier. But you can call it, I just call it Isaias. But either way, we're going to be tracking Hurricane Isaias today. And as you can see, it could become, as we'll be showing you in this video, could become a Category 2 hurricane and potentially bring tropical storm, even hurricane conditions to the Florida coast and even through the East Coast over the next couple of days. So this will be a really fun video. And after this video, please consider checking out my other upload for today, where I do explain the Richter scale, which I'll be talking about earthquakes and tsunamis and how they're related, and talk about some past earthquakes too. So please consider watching that video after today's video. So let's get on with the video. So we have hurricane warnings now for the Turks and Caicos, for the Bahamas here, and tropical storm watches for the East Coast, especially the southeastern coastline of Florida. As you can see, Isaias is going to be making a very close approach to Florida. Okay, eastern Florida is still in the cone. Then the cone gets wider because obviously we go farther out in time. Then it could be a hurricane along the East Coast, according to the National Hurricane Center, and maybe even a high-end tropical storm as it heads off the coast of New England. So this is going to be a very exciting storm here, but at the same time, we still need to be very careful. The easternmost points of Turks and Caicos, we have tropical storm warnings, even for the Dominican Republic, but I'm pretty sure that in the next advisory, because the storm is moving decently fast, I think that the tropical storm warnings for the Dominican Republic will be dropped in the next advisory at 11 o'clock. But this is as of the 8 o'clock advisory here. Winds of 80 miles an hour. It could reach Category 2, but right now we have a Category 1, winds of 80 miles an hour. This is moving northwest at 17 miles an hour. And I'm going to be explaining, too, why it could be taking a track like this unique kind of track, because most storms I've seen have either gone straight into the Gulf or into Mexico, or they have gone out to sea and just made a closer pass to the coast, but never come this close. So the East Coast, the entire East Coast from Florida to Maine could be on alert for a tropical storm and even hurricane conditions. So I like this map because it tells you, this is the same as the previous one, but it tells you exactly how strong the winds are going to be according to the National Hurricane Center. So by 2 p.m. today, we could be seeing a 90-mile-an-hour hurricane with wind gusts going to major hurricane status in terms of wind gusts up to 115 miles per hour. But it gets even better because winds will go to 100 miles an hour with wind gusts to 120, okay, by the time we head towards 2 o'clock tomorrow morning on the first day of August. Then from there, it starts to do a little bit of weakening. All right, exactly how much weaker does it get? That's the question here. So by 2 a.m. on August 2nd, this is an 85-mile-an-hour Category 1, but still winds gusting to Category 2. Now, in 12 hours, as you can see, it doesn't move much. It's still off the east coast of Florida in 12 hours. So I think as it starts to leave the Bahamas, gets towards the Florida coast, I think it'll slow down a little bit, and then it's going to speed back up. So looking at 2 o'clock in the morning on August 3rd, again, Category 1 hurricane, but winds are still gusting to Category 2 status. And then it makes a close pass off the North Carolina coast, potentially coming onshore on the Outer Banks. Winds of 75 miles an hour, but winds could be gusting to 90 miles an hour. As you can see here, the Mid-Atlantic is still in that cone here. All right, even up through southeastern Pennsylvania here. All right, the cone hasn't really shifted much. All right, but we could anywhere in this cone, even just outside of it, can still see some tropical storm / hurricane conditions, or tropical storm conditions, I should say. Then by 2 o'clock on August 5th in the morning, 65-mile-an-hour winds with winds gusting to Category 1. So that's the latest National Hurricane Center of exactly how strong they think it's going to get. But in terms of our tropical storm force wind probabilities, we got about a greater than 40-50% chance on the East Coast from Melbourne, Palm Bay, down to Port St. Lucie, especially West Palm Beach, because West Palm Beach here, I would say, is one of the most eastern points besides, just north of Melbourne here near Titusville. Besides that, I definitely do think that West Palm Beach is one of the most eastern most points in Florida before it makes that little bend back to the west. That's how Florida is shaped. So it's sticking out a little bit West Palm Beach. I think you guys could even have a 50-60% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds. Yes, 50 to 60% chance here. On the west side of Palm Beach, though, about a 40 to 50% chance. But you guys are under tropical storm warnings, or tropical storm watches, excuse me. So is, I believe this is Lake Okeechobee. I believe you guys are now, too. All right, so some dangerous conditions could be in our near future. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of key messages. Usually it's either 2 or 3, but it's 4. And from the National Hurricane Center, we got 4 key messages, and they're pretty lengthy, too. Okay, so we're talking about life-threatening conditions, obviously what it's doing right now, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Turks and Caicos, and eventually in the very near future, the Bahamas. Okay, this could affect southern and eastern central Florida by late Friday night. Okay, in the eastern Carolinas by early next week. So we're talking about Monday through Tuesday here, and even through Wednesday through northern New England here. So hurricane conditions, okay, and some dangerous storm surge too. Storm surge could get several feet here on top of the dangerous rainfall. Hurricane warnings are in effect, okay, again for the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, but tropical storm conditions are possible. Okay, so we're at the top, number 1 is probably what it's doing right now. Then 2, especially 2. Number 3, we're starting to get in what could do to Florida now. So tropical storm conditions could affect Florida and the East Coast beginning Saturday. Tropical storm watches are in effect. We haven't had storm surge watches yet, but I think that'll probably be taking place. This could be put into effect later today and through tomorrow, or very early tomorrow, as the storm starts nearing Florida. Okay, heavy rains with Isaias could affect South Central Florida and maybe even East Central Florida beginning late tonight. We could even see some flash flooding, especially in those poorly drained areas. So make sure those storm drains are not clogged. So we could even see some winds and heavy rainfall, okay, for the northeastern Florida coast all the way up through the U.S. East Coast, okay? But now we're starting to once we get to the East Coast, we're starting to get a little uncertain. But I think since we definitely have our steering pattern set up, that's going to help us make a more accurate forecast because we have our high pressure off to the east, we got our front, you'll be able to see it later, front off to the west. So that gives us a better idea on the steering, and I think that's why we're going to be a little bit more certain about this than we usually are, but still, anything could still change. Your earliest reasonable arrival time. This isn't the most likely time, but this is the earliest reasonable time that they could arrive. In terms of South Florida, look for it Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon through Saturday evening through Central Florida. And this is if you do see tropical storm force winds. I'm not guaranteeing that. Carolina coastline, look for late Sunday into Monday. The Mid-Atlantic coast, like the Delmarva, expect it Monday afternoon through Monday evening when they arrive. I'm not saying when they leave. I'm saying when they arrive. And then maybe New England, maybe Tuesday morning at earliest for you guys. But most likely, okay, earliest reasonable is when you probably should be, prepared by then. All right, but this is most likely. Most likely time is probably for the Delmarva, probably Monday through Tuesday. For Florida, it'd probably be, even for South Florida, maybe Saturday evening. All right, but if this storm does speed up, okay, these times could get shifted forward. They can be shifted up a little bit. Georgia coastline, maybe 8 p.m. Sunday for you guys. So, but these times could always certainly change. For some easternmost points of the Turks and Caicos, we have seen some hurricane force winds now, indicated by the red. Outside of that, though, we have seen those tropical storm force winds in the entire Puerto Rico, where we've seen double-digit rainfall for Puerto Rico. Haiti, Dominican Republic, we've seen it, northern Windward Islands here, even parts of the other parts of the Turks and Caicos, parts of the eastern Turks and Caicos here, and then eventually into the Bahamas. All right, so this map isn't really going up the East Coast yet, but this is focusing on Florida and the Bahamas, where you guys could see upwards of 10 inches of rainfall, all right, from Isaias here. It looks like that central and eastern Florida looks like about 2 to 4 is most likely. Like I said, they're right there by West Palm Beach, besides Titusville, one of the easternmost points of Florida here. You guys could be seeing 4 to 6 inches because you're closer to that center. That center will probably make its closest pass there. Then even the Carolina coast, maybe 4 to 6 inches up there as well, about Wilmington, North Carolina. So looking at the ocean water, the sea surface temperature anomalies here, where it's going to be moving through pretty much average to slightly above average, but once it makes that east coast turn, we're going to see some above average water, so the storm probably have a good time going up the east coast as well. But keep in mind, that's why this storm won't be weakening too quickly. We got to remember the Gulf Stream. This way, moving up the Gulf Stream here, the track goes something like this, touches the Gulf Stream at some point. It won't be carried like through the Gulf Stream exactly, but the Gulf Stream will help to strengthen the system because that's where the waters are, again, the upper 80s, besides where it's at now. We do have some water temperatures in the upper 80s off the Carolina coast, not right off the coast, but once you head out several miles off the Carolina coast into the Gulf Stream, you got some very warm waters in the upper 80s, and obviously that's going to help strengthen the storm system. But we do have something that could be working against it, which is why, if it wasn't for the wind shear and a little bit of dry air, this could probably be a Category 2 by now. I'll be showing you the satellite loop as well, but let's take a look at some on tropical tidbits, some current storm information. So again, this does have winds of 80 miles an hour, aka 65 knots. Pressure just about the same here, 991 millibars. We got our radius of circulation here, 120 nautical miles, and our radius of maximum wind, which is those hurricane force winds, is down to 20 miles, because since it's now a hurricane, now it's talking about, how far those hurricane winds go out from the center, not tropical storm force winds, because tropical storm force winds go out more than that. All right, but they're talking about hurricane force winds go about 20 nautical miles out from the center. And nautical miles is slightly different than regular miles. So looking at this on satellite, I'm going to be honest with you, it doesn't look too impressive. All right, but it's still bringing very dangerous conditions here. But you see the Turks and Caicos, it looks almost like an inverse. Like I can't really see this doesn't look too much like a hurricane. All right, because it is battling some shear. I'm honestly really impressed this even got to a hurricane. We do have some good outflow boundaries, but it's starting to look like it's starting to rotate a little to the left. But because it's battling that shear, you can see some of the convective activity getting carried off to the east and northeast of the storm system. So it's battling some wind shear. That I can definitely say with confidence here. Looking at the aircraft reconnaissance, they are still in the storm. They haven't quite finished yet, but I didn't want to show it to you because I don't know if it depends how far they got in the mission. But as you can see, they're still finding some decent amount of winds here. I would say in the next update, because like I said, 64 to 83 knots. As you may know, I like to do my little conversion method. 64 to 83 knots to me means that the National Hurricane Center will make it 64 to 83 miles an hour in the next update. So unless they keep flying around the storm and find some, but if you definitely look at it on the visible satellite, you could definitely see a strong area of convection. Maybe it looks like a hurricane from this perspective. But I think that the winds will probably stay at 80 miles an hour in the next update, possibly go up to 85 at best, but I think 80, 85 miles an hour probably where it will be in the next update. They're finding pressures, though, 995, 996 so far. They haven't found, because as of the 8 o'clock advisor, the pressure was 991. All right, so maybe that's a sign that maybe it's either stayed the same or weakened a little bit. All right, but this could be strengthening into a Cat 2 potentially. Now, when you look at the ship diagnostic message, I'm sure the first thing that gets drawn to you, the first thing that catches your eye is the wind shear. And yes, it is decently high right now, in the 20s, almost 30 miles an hour. But we do have this brief period right here, okay, 60 to 84 hours out, where the wind shear could drop, and then it goes back up to exponential values. That's the 80 mile an hour wind shear, which is absolutely crazy. 85 mile an hour wind shear, no hurricane can survive that. It would just instantly become extratropical. But if they can develop within this envelope, where we could see, lower wind shear values, I think that this would have a chance to develop. But ocean water is definitely not going to be a problem here. As you can see, right about this time is actually when it passes close to the East Coast by this point. All right, so, and that's also when our water temperature is going to be at its warmest point. So watch out East Coast, because a hurricane doesn't exactly have to. I mean, don't get me wrong. The landfall is definitely worse than just a hurricane skimming the coastline. All right, but we can still see dangerous. You can still see dangerous impacts. Okay, even if it doesn't make landfall to the North Carolina coastline. Okay, we can still see some dangerous waves and coastal flooding. And water temperatures will be in the upper 80s, so that water temperatures are definitely not going to be a problem. Obviously, once it goes inland and starts to go into New England, then the water temperatures start dropping. But that's after landfall / storm heading into New England. That's well out. That's a week out. Okay, the storm won't be lasting quite that long. In terms of our heat content, obviously, when it's moving up to Florida, through the East Coast, through the Bahamas, that's when it's going to be at its highest. Then once it moves through New England, heat content is just dead zero. But the storm could be slowing down briefly. It's weird how the storm actually does slow down at the same exact time that the wind shear goes down, which is pretty scary. And so let's put it this way. At the exact same time the storm is slowing down, which is that 36 to 48 hour or 36 to 84 hour period, that's the same exact time when the wind shear weakens and the ocean water goes up. The ocean water temperatures go up. So these are all very scary here. And also, we do have actually a rebound in our heat content values as well, up to 40. So it's just something to keep in mind of why the storm could potentially make a big comeback here. As of the current low position, on this easternmost island here, one of the easternmost islands of the Turks and Caicos that saw those hurricane force winds earlier, that's where the low is pretty much sitting right now. But we'll be looking at some of the model tracks as well right now. And taking a look at some of the model tracks, you can see that they all pretty much do bring it right up the East Coast. I think they definitely do agree with that, and I'll be showing you why later on in the video as well. But all models pretty much agree. We're up the Delmarva coast here within about 84, 96 hours or so. So this is definitely something to watch. And keep in mind that if it goes inland, notice how the model tracks that bring it, near the East Coast but not coming on shore, notice they have it around this point that I've outlined in black here by 96 hours. But the models that take it further west have it at this point in 96 hours. So if it goes further west before it makes that north turn, it will take longer to arrive to the East Coast and potentially more of a danger to Florida, because think about it, if it moves west like this, it's going to be impacting Florida for longer than if it just took a shortcut and kind of went this way. We sort of taken the long way, so to speak. So obviously the orange and the pink models here, don't know exactly which one you guys are, because there might be another pink line as well. But the orange and pink models here, which I think is the CEM2 and the AEMI, both of them actually bring it on shore on Florida. And that would obviously make the storm a lot weaker, but then again, producing some more impacts like storm surge, because greater storm surge impacts because it's coming on shore. But I want you to notice this too. Notice where that pressure starts dropping. The wind starts strengthening as it heads up the East Coast. All right, and a lot of the GEFS tracks do bring this a lot closer to shore, so more of a threat to land. But at the same time, the storm will be a little bit weaker, which I guess is somewhat good news. But I mean, it kind of balances out eventually in terms of impacts. Storm comes on shore. Yes, we have more direct impacts, but the storm's also weaker. Both things to consider here. But the GEPS tracks bring it even farther inland. Matter of fact, most of the models actually take it into the eastern Gulf and eventually up through the East Coast. All right, so there's a good chunk of models. I wouldn't quite say majority, but a good chunk of models either bring it into the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, and also a very good chunk of models bring it up the East Coast, like the GEPS tracks or GFS tracks we're saying. All right, but to sum it up, that black line here kind of summing up all those models, bringing it up and near the East Coast. Still a very strong low. Pressure below 1,000 millibars, which is a very strong system. Looking at the intensity guidance here, Category 1, a lot of the models, obviously these two models, the CEM2 and the AEMI, those two systems that brought the storm inland also make it a lot weaker. They kind of have the storm dropping. None of these models, though, really only two models make this a Category 2, and the one that does is the silly COTI, which does keep popping up a lot. They have it going up and going straight down, which is a possibility. But the EGR2 says be Category 2, a weakened tropical storm, back to a Category 1. But a lot of the models do trend it down from here. So maybe they're kind of disagreeing with the National Hurricane Center and saying, no, it's going to weaken. It's not going to be a Category 2 hurricane. Either way, though, this could be producing some very dangerous impacts. We're going to be taking a look at the models now. So looking at the GFS model, they kind of bring it right up the East Coast here. Well, first of all, we got to look at Florida. Some very strong rain bands here. But luckily, it looks like a lot of the heaviest rain, as it always should be, is off to the northeast side, right, of that low pressure system. So when you look at the MSLP itself, you see we briefly do have some steady showers from Florida for South and Central Florida, but it's not too much in the way of MSLP until like the back side of the low. Then it goes right up the East Coast here, and it's right off the coast of New Jersey we're talking about Ocean City, we're talking about Avalon, Sea Isle City, Toms River, all right, and even up through it's pretty much dead south of New York City by this point, pretty much exactly like dead south of NYC, but still very heavy rainfall on the west side this time. So that rainfall, that area of heaviest rain could shift from the northeast side of it. Notice how it starts. Now the rain is right over the storm center. It goes from the east side to the center. Now the heaviest rain is now on the west side as it goes to the mid-Atlantic coast. And if that's the case, that could be a worst case scenario for the mid-Atlantic, because if the heaviest rain's on the east side, we won't have to worry as much about the mid-Atlantic in terms of rain impacts. But now we might have to. So something to keep in mind. Looking at the GFS here, in terms of the wind strength, keeping it a near hurricane, tropical storm, but still a very strong tropical storm with 60+ mile-an-hour winds right off the coast of New Jersey is what they're calling for here. Then moving to New England, becomes a weaker tropical storm, and then kind of dies. Now, I am a good fan of the HWRF. I do disagree with some of the math, so we're going to be taking a look at the HWRF model now for Hurricane Isaias. All right, and as you can see, looking at the MSLP, you can see it moving right through the Bahamas, producing some very dangerous impacts, and then going up Florida, coming very, very close to Titusville here, which is Titusville is pretty much right around here. But look at this heavy rain that we see on the northeast side of the storm system here. All right, we do see some heavy rain still for Florida. Okay, but look at some of the, we're talking about 60 millimeters of rain per hour. All right, that's kind of like your rainfall rates here. So I just want you guys to like imagine how much that is. So that's like about 2.5, I would say 2.5 to 3 inches, okay, per hour. And then even beyond that, let's watch as this moves up the coast here. So over time, moves up the coast, still some very heavy rainfall rates. And look at this. Look at this huge area of rainfall. Okay, huge area of purples as well. Moving right up through South Carolina, eventually into North Carolina. So obviously this looks like a very dangerous storm system. 60 millimeters of rain per hour, and that is about 2.5 inches of rain per hour. So just imagine that and how long the storm could be lasting here. This is going to be a slow-moving system, but this could still be very dangerous nonetheless. Look at this. Look at this. Through northern Delaware here, we're talking about near the Chesapeake here, just off the coast. These areas of purple, some very, very heavy rainfall, and this could be devastating. Okay, and then look at this. It moves right through Philly. This monstrosity here of yellows and oranges and reds. And then we got that, and then we got this one very strong band that goes right off the coast. All right, but the HWRF definitely does paint. I think they put a little bit too much yellow and orange because like it looks like this a lot, but still that's a very, very impressive storm system. Looking at the cyclonic vorticity signature, obviously since they went a lot on, I wouldn't say they went overboard because I can't really say anything yet, but I said since they went, a little over the top here with the MSLP, because that's how the model usually looks, the cyclonic vorticity signature is going to look just as bad. So look how it starts the weekend. We can see some lighter reds. Then the darker reds start coming back right as it comes on shore through North Carolina. They say it's going to make landfall in Wilmington. Doesn't make landfall in Myrtle Beach, come up this way. Doesn't make landfall in Wilmington. Doesn't make landfall in Cape Hatteras and go up this way. The longer it takes to make landfall, the more strength this will have by the time it arrives to the mid-Atlantic wind, and if it does. And then still a very strong storm system, as you can see by cyclonic vorticity signature for the mid-Atlantic. And looking at the winds here with the HWRF still, I mean, we're talking about near hurricane force winds here. We're talking about winds of 65, 70 miles an hour, even up to the mid-Atlantic. So near hurricane for the mid-Atlantic, but definitely some potentially tropical storm / hurricane conditions for the east coast of Florida. Taking a very quick look at windy.com real quick, kind of look at the rainfall totals. Let's go to rain accumulation. You can see that a lot of the heaviest rain does stay off the coast of Florida, but that's not necessarily true for South Carolina and North Carolina. Up through the mid-Atlantic here, we're talking about 4 to 6+ inches of rain. Okay, from South Carolina all the way up through Connecticut. Looking at the GFS model, they kind of have it pretty much the same as the European. Okay, I'm not saying these models can't agree, but GFS is a little bit closer to the coastline, but both have the heaviest rainfall still well inland, okay, through the mid-Atlantic. It's not just going to be coastal locations. Still, several inches of rain are possible. So thank you guys for watching today's video. Don't forget to check out my other upload for today about the earthquakes. Thank you guys for watching. I'm The Weather Dude, signing off. Till next time, catch you guys next video.